going on, everyone? Welcome. Today is Monday, March 21st, 2022. My name is Jeremy. This is my first cup. Yeah, it's really warm. Got black tea with some cream in it today. Good morning, Stacy. Good morning, Andy. Good morning, Jenny. Good morning to all of you, whether you're watching live later or listening. Thank you for coming by. How was your weekend? What did you do? Was it good? Was it Could it have been better? Did you learn anything? Did you do anything exciting? Was it fun? My weekend was very simple. It was what I needed. I went to the gym. I played video games. I ate food. I watered plants. I won't even say I cleaned the house. I did a little bit, but not much. Good morning, Dennis. Dennis reminds us it's spring. It's the first day of spring. Yeah, I guess it looks like spring out there. I can see some green. You know what blows me away? How every other plant is like, I need time to get going again. Grass is like, hey, what's up? You're letting me see the sky. I'm green. It's crazy. I don't know how it does it, but it does it. Pretty impressive. We should all aspire to be as resilient as grass. Oh. Dennis took his youngest back to school. Andy went and saw the logger. For those of you outside of Vermont, the logger, Rusty Dweez, is a local comedian who everybody knows. I think the whole state's Facebook friends with Rusty somehow. Really funny guy, really good guy. In fact, at one point, he and I were in communication. I reached out to him. I was like, I've seen you do some commercial stuff. Like you're pretty savvy. What would you think about working together on? This was in my last business with my IT company. And he was open to it. The price wasn't quite where I needed it to be. He was more expensive than I could do. But we had a great conversation about it. I learned a lot about being a celebrity endorser, essentially, because that's what he would have been doing, and why the price had to be where it was. So that was kind of cool. It's Monday. You know, I realized I forgot to mention on Thursday that we had an episode. I'm not so good about that. One of the things that I think, if this show were to grow, I think one of the things we would do is I think we'd add a production assistant who would feed me, like, here's the show flow. Here's what you need to talk about at what point. And on Mondays and Thursdays, it would be, here's the episode. Here's who you talk to. Here's what you said about them. Here are some notes. Jenny says she hung out with Lilith while Matt, who is her husband, his brother, and her boys helped move furniture from her aunt's house. Saw several of my family members there. Then we had dinner at Matt's mom's. Great Sunday. Sounds like a pretty solid Sunday. Celebrated my mom's birthday, which was a few weeks ago, on Saturday, as well as a few other family things. That was nice. Had a nice meal. Oh. Yeah. I'm thinking what else I did this weekend. It feels like I did more. I boiled more sap. I finished off, I think it was Friday night, I finished off the first batch of sap and poured it off. It probably could be a little thinner, a little thicker, but I'm going to leave it as is because that way I don't go through it as quickly. The flavor is incredible, though. Good morning, Frank. What's going on today? It's Monday. Meetings. Andrew and I have another meeting about all-in weekend because we're getting close. We are getting close. We're what? 6 weeks out? 5 weeks out? So much to do. But the heart of what needs to be done is done. It's all little stuff. Like at some point, I need to remember to grab all the name tags out of the whistlekick event box or bring the event box. I need to make some lists. Basically, packing. Little stuff. Frank says, "Wake up, sleepyhead." I'm working on it. This is the whole point. Oh, now I'm yawning again. This is the whole point of the show. We wake up together. Andy asked, "Did you get your bike ready to come out?" Absolutely not. Because it's still cold and I almost didn't make it to the gym or back yesterday. My road, this is the worst I've seen my road ever. Like literally in the I 2013 was the first summer, the first spring I was here. So what's that? 9, 10 springs. This is the 10th spring. It was bad. And I mean, you can see like pieces of undercarriage, pieces of plastic from wheel wells like embedded in the mud. People getting brutal. It is bad enough. I'm not leaving today unless I see the grader go by. If I don't see it go by, I'm not going. It's not happening. Man. We've got people all over the place, like talking about just like this is for those of you who live in areas where you don't have dirt roads. When we have especially a rapid thaw, which we did, coupled with rain, which we did, you just end up with soupy roads. Why do we have dirt roads? Because they're actually cheaper to maintain. Believe it or not. But my road is regarded as being one of the worst in the area during mud season. Yes, it's an actual season. There's a picture. If I was more prepared for this, I would show you this. Anyway, it's a classic picture. Some of you from Vermont already know the picture I'm talking about. Apparently my yawn was contagious. So today's episode 694, if I've got them. Stop talking about yawning and typing yawning. Guys, you're killing me. It's such a weird thing that is contagious. Anyway, today's episode 694, John Giordano. I think we had one other guest who this story comes from a similar place. Started training in the 60s, lived in New York, had some there was some organized crime stuff going on in and around, and it bleeds into the story, and it was a really cool story. And this one's fun. This one's a lot of fun. It reminded me, if you ever listen to Jordan Harbinger's show, he often brings on former folks from the mafia, people, retired mafia folks, for different reasons. Some of them were writing books and everything. This episode reminded me a bit of that, the type of stories. And I thought it was a lot of fun. So check that out. It was not on YouTube when I last looked. Should be up shortly. Yeah, good stuff. This one's in audio. Stacy's encouraging physical activity to wake everyone up. Jumping jacks, burpees, mountain climbers. Wake up, everyone. Well, I'll tell you what. I asked a question. I'm not going to talk about it. On Friday, I got to go back to this. About shoes. I said, I bet most of you have a pair of shoes from your childhood that you remember. Tell us about them. And a bunch of you did. So that was cool. So here are a few of them. Brian says, I had a pair of Reebok pumps once. I wanted a pair so badly. I remember the air pockets constricting around my ankle for additional support. I also felt like a doctor checking a pulse. Ha! Although I think, and then he shows a picture. It says mine weren't quite like this. Jason says, I don't remember if I ever had a pair, but I recall two ads. One was for Zip Zip Z's, the other was Buster Brown's. Kelly says, my mom so desperately wanted a sweet little girly girl and made me dress up for school pictures, and I'd have to wear white patent leather shoes. Needless to say, they didn't stay white for long while wearing them to play kickball. And Stacy says, my wooden clogs, circa 1977. I loved clomping about in them, and they felt so good on my feet. Right on. I had one, maybe two pairs of kangaroos. Velcro sneakers, because I hated tying shoes. I had Velcro sneakers longer than most kids. And it wasn't until I was like, oh, I'm in like 5th grade. Everybody else ties shoes. I'm wearing Velcro shoes. I should probably figure this out. And it was fine. You know, it wasn't hard to learn how to tie shoes. I had other stuff. And, you know, that element of my personality is still there. I don't want to, like, I like to cook and I'm a good cook, but there are other things that I could be doing that I think are more productive. If I was rich, I would have someone cooking my meals and reminding me to eat. Take care, Andy. You have a good day as well. So these kangaroos, if you are unfamiliar with the shoes, they were called kangaroos because they had a zipper pocket on the side, and I used to put pennies in there because there was nothing else that would fit. There was literally nothing else you could fit in there other than coins or maybe some folded up paper. Perhaps a couple very small flat Legos. I saw a pair of kangaroos at TJ Maxx like 9 years ago, and they were $85. And I almost bought them, but I was attempting to be responsible. And I have not regretted not buying a pair of shoes more in my life than grabbing those. It's funny that the things, oh, I just remembered. So there were two straps, and I used to be different and cross the straps. The things we remember of our childhood. Jenny says, I know my mom took us to Buster Brown for shoes. I recall enjoying the sound of Buster Brown and repeating it over and over. But my favorite shoes as a kid were my jellies. That is something that I think quite a few women, roughly our age, would agree with. Jellies. I remember my high school, my senior prom date, was incredibly excited that she managed to find a pair of jellies, and that's what she wore to prom. They matched. They went with their dress, but she didn't care about the dress. She cared about her shoes. She showed everyone. Jenny says, and maybe this is why we were friends. Fun fact, even though they were my favorite shoes, I often took them off and ran around barefoot. Kelly's weighing in that she also loved her jellies. Never had a pair, unsurprising. I had like 3 pots of tea yesterday. I just keep this so the retreat thing that I'm going on 2 weeks from today, I will be back from it. There's some dietary things going into it, and one of them is, I think I've talked about it. No alcohol, no carbonation. So that pretty much removes anything that's not tea or milk. I think coffee is also on there. Yeah, there's no coffee. So between the 3, and then starting Friday, it's no caffeine. So I'm just drinking tea like it's going out of style, which means I'm eating less junk because it's those restrictions have already kicked in, and I'm just I'm going pee a lot. And let's just call a spade a spade. There are a lot of trips down the hall, and I feel good. It's probably not a bad thing that I'm just crazy hydrated, flushing stuff out. Stacy is espousing being barefoot as well. Says as much as I can still. We are, it's interesting. I can track the health of my knees relative to the seasons because by the end of winter, when I've had to wear shoes much more of the time, my knees are not in as good a shape. When are my knees in the best shape? End of summer, early fall, when I've been outside working in the garden, running, hiking, barefoot, etc. My knees are really happy. All right. Frank gave us something kind of fun today that I enjoyed. And here, I'll set it up for us. Today is World Poetry Day. The following is from BruceLee.com. Bruce Lee started writing poetry when he moved from Hong Kong to the US at age 18. He wrote poetry to express his feelings of contemplativeness, love, melancholy, and oneness with nature. The poetry was a way to process and understand his own feelings. Bruce also wrote poems and letters to his wife Linda, expressing love and gratefulness for her. Linda says that she can still feel the warmth of his love through his writing. Bruce Lee was a masculine man of action who also had a very integrated feminine side. He was always cultivating both yin and yang. Would we expect anything else from Bruce Lee? I used to write a lot of poetry. High school, college, even junior high. And I've got some notebooks. I think one of them might be over in that box. The to be scanned box that I haven't scanned anything of. I like, and I don't know if I ultimately found rap music because of this or because of this, it's because of rap music that I like this. But I like the way words go together. I like the sound of words. There are certain audible patterns within speech. Quite often it's rhyming, but it isn't necessarily always rhyming. It's meter, it's cadence. I just like the way some things sound. I remember as a teenager really liking the simplicity and the sound of the word crock. Like a crock of butter, crock. I let or I guess it could be croc, short for crocodile, but I like that word. I like the sound of that word. There are other words that I like the sound of. It has nothing to do with the meaning. But when you can combine words that sound interesting with meanings that are also interesting, that's where I think poetry, music, etc., gets really good. One of my favorite musicians is Elton John, and if you ever check out the lyrics, he doesn't write the lyrics. I don't know if you knew that. He does the music part, and of course sings. But if you look at the lyrics from his music, they're about as simple as you get. You would have a hard time writing songs that were simpler than that. That's probably why I appreciate them. They are in their most basic form. All right. So let's read this poem together and we'll see if you guys have a reaction. The Frost. Young man, seize every minute of your time. The days fly by, ere long you too will grow old. If you believe me not, see there in the courtyard how the frost glitters white and cold and cruel on the grass that once was green. Do you not see that you and I are as the branches of one tree? With your rejoicing comes my laughter, with your sadness, my tears. Love, could life be otherwise with you and me? that's one that you could memorize. It's not terribly long. Pull that out at a martial arts event. If you're maybe you meet someone at a tournament, you're trying to impress them romantically, hopefully not just before they compete, and you just kind of rattle that one off, and you're like, hey, Bruce Lee wrote poetry, and you just drop that one in, and they're like, oh, probably not at a tournament. I had an idea, and it's been rattling around in my head all weekend, and I'm curious what you all think. I wouldn't have time to put it together. What if we all found a campground at some point this summer and we all just went there? Everybody sets up tents or brings RVs or whatever, and we all just have whistle camp. No agenda, no schedule, just hanging out. Now, I'm sure people would end up training and whatever, but what if we did that? What if it ultimately became, I don't think we could charge for it because I don't think there would be anything to charge for. Ultimately, I would love to, I really do want a piece of land that we can do events on. I would love to have something where we could have, 100 acres or so and set up some campsites and whatever. But that's down the road. What if we did that? First off, is that something people generally are interested in? Two, is that something that somebody watching or listening wants to take on? If you do, let me know. Good morning, Mark. Kelly suggests Lake Dunmore. There are lots of great spots in Vermont. The challenge with all the spots in Vermont is that if we think about everyone who might want to come, it's really inconvenient to get to Vermont, especially northern Vermont. This was one of the challenges. It's probably the biggest downside to the facility for All In Weekend is that it's a couple hours from everything. It's a couple hours from anywhere you could fly into. And, camping is a little bit easier, maybe, because you throw your stuff in the car and you drive it. Oh man, there's a woodchuck. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Are you going back in that same hole? I relocated. Oh, it's a young one. Where are you going? Where are you going? Where is he going? I got to see where he's going because I got to see where to set up the trap. I moved 5 of them the last year. I thought I'd gotten them all. All right, you're going down there. Okay, thank you for indulging me, everyone. See, this show is about as raw as you get. Dennis says ninja games in the forest. Yeah. I mean, conceptually, it's fun. Everybody wants to do this. Like, this is a cool thing. But we would need somebody to find and communicate and Jenny says, is anyone else laughing out loud? Woodchucks. The bane of my existence. I don't want to shoot them. It's what everyone else does. They shoot them. I relocate. I mean, I don't relocate them. Because that's not legal. I humanely encourage them to find new lodging. Stacy, that's super cool. I'd love to talk to you more about that at some point because I've only known one other person who's gone through that tradition. So I'll just leave it out to all of you. If it's something that you're interested in coordinating, let me know, and I'll share my my thoughts with you, and we can see where it goes. I'm not expecting that this would be a big thing right off the bat, but it's something that in a few years could be a heck of a lot of fun. And if we end up with our own facility, which is the long-term goal, even the medium-term goal, it could be a revenue generating thing. You know, I was kind of imagining, because everything else we do is so structured that I would like to have something that is not structured, and that starts giving me visions of like martial arts Burning Man. There would be rules. There would have to be rules because I know all of us. Dennis, I need to chat with you today about New York. So let's find a time. There's a Jenny says, I feel like there. Kelly says here, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? And Jenny says, Kelly, I feel like there's a Chuck Norris joke brewing in there somewhere. There probably is. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, y'all. I'm gonna go be annoyed that there's a woodchuck already. It's March. Probably just woke up this weekend, honestly. Running around looking for food. It's the right time to do it then. I hope turn that off. I hope you all have a great day. I hope you go check out that episode of John Giordano. And when you do, I would love to know your reactions. We keep the Facebook group going, the Martial Arts Radio Behind the Scenes, and we don't get a lot of commentary in there. I wish we had more. I wish people talked about the episodes more. Maybe you talk about them offline with people. I don't know. I just want to make sure that we continue to produce the things that you want, that help you get the value out of your training, your relationship to the martial arts in at least a way that you want, and that you find enough value to remain. Now, I know those of you who watch or listen to this show are in that group, but you're also the group who's most likely to give me the most open feedback. So never hesitate to let me know. We're always looking for ways to make things better. Alrighty. I send you off into the world to do good things and train and all that good stuff. Oh, BT Dubs, Friday, I had a good conversation with what could be a contact leading to opening school. So stay tuned for that. This will be a dramatically different thing. Take care, everybody. I appreciate you all. Be well. See you tomorrow. Peace.